I was shocked to watch a tape where Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen was urging the police to use firearms and he will defend them. I'm reminding myself of the country called Haiti. Not the way you think it, not the way you think of Tonton or anything, no. But I'm reminding myself about Haiti in the following way. There was a padre, a Catholic padre, who wanted to be the president of Haiti. And the Pope told him, you can, Pope can never approve a Catholic reverend to join politics because politicians are devilish. I am shocked because of two reasons. One, Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen is not just a lawyer, but if my memory serves me right, he taught law in one of the universities. I think it is Moi University. In Kiganjo, all recruits are taught the justifiable instances for the use of firearms. And what any minister, even those not trained in law, is supposed to have reminded the police to stick with their training, especially the trainings where they say justifiable instances of usage of firearm. That is what the minister should have done. Would have just reminded them to stick by what they were taught. Any cop watching this tape should be reminded about Talam, the Central Police Station OCS, Mukhwana, and I think the other third cop is Kimani. Kindly, when you hear what Murkomen is telling you, remember those three people. The three were instructed by their boss to teach Albert Omondi Ojwang a small lesson. And I'm sure by now, the three not only are regretting, but every evening they sleep in a remand cell, while their boss, who ordered them to do that, is on a self-imposed suspension, earning a full salary. Once a cop, once an accused person, or once a civil servant answers to the charges in court, that is, when you are taken to court and you are a civil servant in Kenya, they charge you with ABCD, a criminal case. Then they ask you, do you plead guilty or not guilty? Whether you say you are guilty or you say you are not guilty, whatever you say, you immediately are put on interdiction. Interdiction means that you get half your salary. Half your salary. That is, you get half your salary, but allowances are treated differently. Because, for example, house allowance, you are not paid a half, you are paid full house allowance because you still occupy the house you used to stay. But there are some allowances which are scrapped. For example, special duty allowance, scrapped. Overtime, any allowance. But an allowance such as, there is a commuter allowance. There is commuter allowance. That one is taken off. Whatever allowance is taken off. But house allowance you are paid in full, and your salary you get half. So kindly, I'm reminding you, as a person who went to Kiganjo earlier than you, I would tell you that remember those three police officers, Talam, Juan, and Kimani. They followed what their boss, what your boss told them, and now the boss of your boss is telling you, shoot, he will defend you. At least you have heard from me. What does Kiganjo teach on the justifiable instances of firearms used by police. I will not use the actual wordings because of two reasons. I will not use the actual wordings because of two reasons. It is long time since I left service, and most of my viewers are non-police officers, so or lawyers. So I will use as much layman's language as I can. Where there is a threat to life or safety to anybody, if you are a police officer and you have a firearm around, and there is a threat to life or safety of anybody, including the police officer himself, if in the if in the if in the if in the reasoning of the police officer that a threat of life and safety to any person, anybody, it can be a threat to the police officer himself, a threat to a third party, or even instances where it is a threat to the person himself, then the police officer are allowed to use firearm. In any given time, the police are mandated to use minimum force. Use minimum force. So in some instances, and these are rare instances, the police officer may find that the use of firearm is not only the minimum force, but it is the only option that he has to use. Now, when that is the one and the only option, you may use other forces. You may use other forces. You may try to physically restrain the person. You may try to use whips. You may try to use clubs, and so on. If you try to use them and find that then the last option, which is the minimum, and you have to understand that the circumstances determine, not because the minister has assured you that he'll defend you or even hire a lawyer for you. But then I'm talking to the police now. My father was a police officer. I was a police officer. I have a brother who is a police officer. I know so many police officers. I can tell you that, leave alone being taken to court, there is a certain court higher than all the high courts. Instances where you find police officers after retiring and sometimes becoming mad is because, as Africans, we believe that the person you killed unjustifiably, this thing I think traditionally they can say damu ya mtu inakufuata, but psychologists will say that your conscience will always be there. If you kill somebody wrongly and you are jailed, or even you go to court and you are set free because of reasons or whatever, so long as your mentality, you know that you wronged somebody and the courts of Kenya handled you properly, then that thing doesn't affect you. But psychologically, killing somebody and then living your life with that conscience is the one that affects you. And people say, no, it's the person who killed. I think I've said that. I'll repeat some parts of it because I wanted to emphasize on that. That I want to tell the police officers who are watching this is that when you have to shoot to kill, let it be as per your training in Kiganjo. And convince yourself that you have done a justifiable instance. I was with somebody, not even somebody, I've had several people asking me, don't you think that the people that the police have killed, they usually haunt them in the rest of their life? And I've been telling those people, and I'll say right now, suppose a gangster comes with a gun and in your judgment, you know that if you delay it by a second, or if you delay it by a minute, that person will shoot uh, 10 people and kill them. So if you shoot that person and kill that person, your conscience throughout your life will be that The 10 people are alive because you killed the person who was to shoot them. That one will remain with you. But if you delay and that person even injures a person, to give that person a permanent injury, it will always disturb you. That licha Swahili say licha. If I would have taken a quicker step and shot that person before you'd have killed or harmed anybody. So that is the mentality that police should have. That you convince yourself now and even in future that what you are doing is to save the people who are alive. People are, imagine, shootout between you and the person. Take the example of the GSU man in Garissa University. He died with a grenade. He hugged the terrorist so that the grenade does not kill other people. Have that mentality in you, that whatever you do, many people are living because of what you have done. If you have to kill somebody, if you have to shoot somebody to kill, have it in your mind that had you not shot that person, other people would not, other people would have died. That is the mentality I want to communicate with the police. I've seen that. I've seen when Kenya attained independence, Jomo Kenyatta and his people, when they took over, they become worse than the colonialist. Moi was there's a time even Moi was being backbited by Njenga Karume, and Jomo Kenyatta exposed him. What did Kenyatta do? What did Moi do after becoming the president? He became Fitina number one. So when Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen does what he does, that is when power goes to the head. But as a police officer, you are debating against yourself and you're debating against your maker. Ask yourself, is it justifiable to pull the trigger? If it is yes, face the consequences. But if it is not, don't be cheated by anybody that he will hire any lawyer for you. You can win all the cases, but there is one case that you can never win. So I'll repeat some parts. In any given time, police are mandated to use minimum force. And in some instances, which are rare instances, the cop may find that the use of the firearm is the only option that is there. That there is only one option, and that is the only one. And I've even given you an example of instances where you started off trying to use hand physical restraint, you are unable. You try to use a whip, you are unable. You try to use clubs, you are unable. Then, as a last instance, you use firearm. Persons who are suspected to have committed a felony, or if someone is suspected, somebody is called as a suspect until he goes to court. If you are going to arrest a person who is suspected to have committed a felony, and that person tries to escape, a murderer, you go to arrest a murderer, and the murderer tries to escape. A felony is a serious offense. If someone has committed a serious offense and you have arrested him and he tries to escape, then you are justified in using firearm against that person. Or a person or persons who attempt to rescue a felon suspect. I've said the first instance, someone is suspected to have committed a felon. He tries to escape. You are justified in shooting him. But we have other instances where you have arrested this person and you are taking this person to the police custody, and somebody else tries to rescue this person who has committed a felony. In these circumstances, you are encouraged. The officer is encouraged, first of all, to shoot in the air, so that the person you are dealing with understands that you have a firearm and death is a possibility. You first of all shoot in the air, and then second, you shoot. Don't follow what Kipchumba Murkomen say that you kill. You shoot to disable. Because in all justifiable instances, Even when you are using a firearm, you are not supposed to kill. You are supposed to injure the person, disable the person to an extent, maybe shoot his hand if he has got a panga, or even immobilize him to an extent that he faces the court. In Kenya, there is only one person who is and again there is a problem with that charge, whereby capital offenses are the only instances where someone can be sentenced to die. The period from drawing the gun to shooting in the air and then ultimately shooting to kill should be reasonable. Should be reasonable. But in some instances, the threat may be so huge and so sudden that you may not even have to undergo all that process of shooting in the air, then shooting vital organs to disable the person. There are occasions when it is just there is no other option but you shoot to kill. If it is justifiable that you do. But if circumstances allow, you are supposed to do what? Let's take, he was talking at a police station which was burned down. Suppose you are somewhere, you are in that police station and a gang comes, 20 or 30 people, and then you shoot just one of them in the leg. The way he wails, ile duru atapiga, it will scare other people and they will go away. And again, let me tell you, mimi ni NIS, mimi ni intelligence officer. If you shoot to kill, you are killing the evidence. You see, if you shoot this person to disable, like those people who overran and burned the police station, even the locals and other places. But you see, Murkomen was talking while he was in a police station. If you shot those people and killed them all, and then you let people like Kipchumba Murkomen come up with fictions that Rigathi Gachagua is the one who organized it. Why don't you shoot that person to disable that person? Take him to the hospital. When he recovers, take interrogators there. Interrogators will interrogate him and he will tell you the person who has done what. He'll tell you the whole setup. He'll tell you whether it was a spontaneous reaction or if they were hired. And if they were hired, who hired them? Now, if you kill them, you are killing the evidence. I'm not trying to say that Rigathi, although Rigathi is not capable of doing that, but I'm not even trying to say that Rigathi is the one who did it. I'm not even trying to say that uh, he, he did do it. I'm not trying to say that he did it and whatever. But don't you think if you shoot this person to the and disable the person, when the person has recovered, don't you think this person will now come and tell the truth? If you kill that person, how sure are we that he will not disclose the person and the modus operandi that they have used in doing whatever they did? Kindly know, as I'm about to finish, I would just tell you that being a police officer, being a member of the National Police Service, kindly remember that your definition is law enforcement officer. Law enforcement officer. You enforce. Unajua jina enforce, kulazimisha. Law enforcement officer, afisa ambaye anahakikisha sheria inafuatwa. And killing demonstrators and just because they are breaching the police station is not law enforcement. Thank you. Have a nice time.